The first thing Sophia Carter said to me was, "You're 30 minutes late." The second thing she said was, "And your shirt is bleeding." I looked down. She was right. A thin line of blood had soaked through the sleeve of my black dress shirt, slowly dripping onto the polished floor of the restaurant. Not exactly the best first impression for a blind date. Around us, the luxury steakhouse buzzed with soft piano music, wealthy couples, and low golden lighting. Everyone looked elegant. Meanwhile, I looked like I'd escaped from a crime scene. "I can explain," I said calmly. Sophia crossed her arms. "I'm honestly curious how." Before I could answer, a waiter approached carefully. "Sir, are you injured?" "I'm fine. You're bleeding on the menu." I glanced down again. Apparently I was. Not ideal. Sophia sighed and picked up her purse. "You know what? My mother owes me for this." I blinked. "You're leaving already?" She stared at me in disbelief. "You arrived late, bleeding, and somehow still acting confident." "That's because the worst part of my night already happened." "What happened?" I paused. "A man tried to kill me in Brooklyn." Silence. The waiter slowly backed away. Sophia stared at me for 3 full seconds. Then she laughed. Not a polite laugh. A full, genuine laugh. "Okay," she said. "That's actually funny." I wasn't joking. Her smile faded a little. "You're serious?" "Unfortunately." Sophia sat back down slowly. For the first time, she looked interested. Not impressed. Interested. "What do you do?" she asked carefully. "I recover stolen things." "That sounds illegal." "It sounds cooler than private security consultant." She studied me for a moment. Tall heels, dark green dress, sharp eyes, the kind of woman who noticed everything. "You carry a gun?" she asked. "Usually. And tonight." I lifted my jacket slightly. Her eyes widened. "That is either incredibly attractive or deeply concerning." "I hear both a lot." The waiter returned nervously with water. Sophia leaned forward. "So who tried to kill you?" "That's complicated." "Good. Simple people are boring." Now it was my turn to look surprised. Most blind dates died within 10 minutes. This one was somehow getting stronger after attempted murder. Interesting. Then Sophia's phone buzzed. The moment she looked at the screen, everything changed. Her expression froze. Not annoyance. Fear. Real fear. She locked the phone immediately. Too quickly. I noticed because noticing things keeps me alive. "Bad news?" I asked. "Nothing important." "Lie. A bad one." People tell lies with their mouths. Fear tells the truth with the eyes. And Sophia Carter suddenly looked terrified. Then another message appeared. I caught part of it before she hid the screen. "You shouldn't have come." Well, that definitely wasn't from a yoga instructor. "Sophia," I said, "it's nothing. You're shaking." She looked down at her hands. She hadn't even realized it herself. Outside the restaurant windows, rain poured across Manhattan streets while thunder echoed in the distance. Sophia grabbed her purse. "I need to go." "Someone's threatening you." "No one is threatening me." "You just checked the exits twice." That stopped her cold. Because she had. The confidence faded from her face for half a second. Then she whispered, "You notice too much." Occupational hazard. Another vibration hit her phone. This time she didn't even look at it. That told me enough. I stood slowly. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Deciding whether I'm about to save your life." She almost smiled at that. Almost. Then the front doors exploded inward. The sound shook the entire restaurant. People screamed. Glass shattered everywhere. 3 masked men stormed inside holding guns. The piano music stopped instantly. One of the gunmen shouted, "Nobody move." The restaurant dropped into chaos. Guests ducked beneath tables while waiters ran screaming toward the kitchen. And right beside me, Sophia whispered one word. No, not confusion, recognition. She knew them. One gunman scanned the room quickly. Then pointed directly at our table. "There she is." Well, that was extremely bad. I grabbed Sophia's wrist instantly. "Move." Gunshots erupted behind us as I flipped the table sideways. Wood splintered. Wine glasses exploded. The entire restaurant became a war zone. Sophia stumbled beside me in high heels while customers screamed around us. "You need to tell me who they are." I snapped. "No time." There's always time when bullets are involved. One attacker rushed toward us. Big mistake. I slammed a chair into his knees hard enough to send him crashing into another table. We sprinted through the kitchen while chefs ducked for cover. Another shot blasted through metal shelves behind us. Exit, I shouted. I know. Sophia hit the back door open and rain slammed into us instantly. Cold, violent. The alley behind the restaurant was almost empty. Almost. Because a black SUV waited at the far end with headlights glowing through the rain. Engine running. Someone inside. Perfect. Sophia stopped moving. Her face turned pale. Oh God. You know them. She nodded slowly, then whispered the last thing I expected. They work for my fiancé. I froze. You're what? Another gunshot cracked behind us. Not the best moment for emotional processing. I shoved Sophia behind a dumpster as bullets slammed into the brick wall nearby. You're engaged. It's complicated. That's becoming tonight's theme. The SUV door opened. A tall man stepped out wearing a charcoal suit despite the rain. Calm, expensive, dangerous. He looked directly at Sophia. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Sophia looked horrified. Ethan. The fiancé. Of course. Ethan walked toward us slowly. No weapon visible, which somehow made him more dangerous. You disappeared, he said calmly. Sophia stepped backward. You lied to me. Ethan sighed. You weren't supposed to find out. Find out what? I was beginning to hate mysteries. Then Sophia looked at me. Her eyes filled with something close to panic. He kills people. Okay. That escalated quickly. Ethan smiled slightly. That's an ugly way to describe business. The rain poured harder around us. Sophia's voice shook. He owns half the politicians in New York. Half the police too. Ethan adjusted his cufflinks casually. You stole something from me, Sophia. I stole evidence. Now we were getting somewhere. Ethan's expression darkened slightly. There are files that don't belong to you. Sophia looked at me again. And finally told the truth. My fiancé runs a trafficking network through his shipping company. Silence. Even the rain suddenly felt louder. Ethan's men emerged behind him holding weapons. I counted 4. Bad odds. Very bad. Ethan tilted his head. You really chose a blind date over me. Sophia laughed bitterly. You sent armed men into a restaurant. Technically they were already armed. Psychopath. Definitely psychopath. Then Ethan looked at me. You can walk away right now. I smiled slightly. That usually means I shouldn't. His expression hardened. Last chance. I looked at Sophia, terrified, drenched in rain, trying desperately not to break. And suddenly this wasn't about money or danger anymore. It was about her. You know, I said calmly, most blind dates just end awkwardly. Then I punched one of Ethan's men directly in the throat. Chaos exploded instantly. Gunfire erupted across the alley. I grabbed Sophia and pulled her behind the SUV while bullets shattered windows nearby. You have a plan, she yelled. Survive first. Plan second. That's a terrible plan. Still better than yours apparently. One attacker rounded the vehicle. I slammed the car door into his face hard enough to drop him instantly. Another grabbed me from behind. We crashed into the wet pavement while rain hammered down around us. The gun slid across the ground. Sophia saw it first. For half a second, fear disappeared from her face. Then she picked up the weapon and pointed it directly at Ethan. Everyone froze. Even Ethan looked surprised. You won't shoot me, he said softly. Sophia's hands trembled. You don't know me anymore. That line hit him harder than the gun. Interesting. Then police sirens echoed in the distance. Ethan's expression changed instantly. Not fear. Calculation. He looked at Sophia one last time. This ends badly for you. Then he disappeared into the SUV with his remaining men and sped into the rain. Just like that, gone. Sophia lowered the gun slowly. Then started shaking uncontrollably. Adrenaline crash. I carefully took the weapon from her hands. You okay? No. Honest answer. I respected that. Police arrived minutes later, but Sophia refused to speak to them. Which told me 2 things. 1. She was terrified. 2. She didn't trust the system. Probably smart. By midnight, we sat inside my apartment overlooking the city. Dry clothes, coffee, silence. Sophia stared out the window while thunder rolled outside. Finally she whispered, I almost married him. I leaned against the kitchen counter. What changed? Her expression darkened. 3 weeks ago, I found videos. I already hated where this was going. Girls being transported through his cargo ships. My jaw tightened. He called them investments. Silence filled the apartment. Then Sophia laughed quietly. Broken laughter. You know the crazy part. What? I stayed after that. I looked at her carefully. Why? Because I was scared. That wasn't weakness. That was survival. But survivors blame themselves for everything. I kept telling myself maybe there was an explanation, she whispered. There wasn't. No. Her eyes filled with tears she clearly hated showing. There wasn't. I walked closer slowly. You left eventually. Barely. She looked up at me. And now he'll never stop hunting me. I wanted to tell her she was wrong. But she wasn't. Men like Ethan didn't lose gracefully. Then my apartment lights shut off. Instantly. The entire room went dark. Sophia froze. And downstairs. Car doors slammed shut. Multiple. I moved toward the window carefully. Black SUVs outside the building. 6 men. Armed. Well, apparently Ethan believed in commitment. Sophia. Her voice shook. Yes. We need to leave. Gunshots exploded downstairs. The lobby windows shattered. People screamed somewhere below us. Sophia looked horrified. He found us already. I checked my watch. Honestly, I expected at least until morning. She stared at me. Is this your way of staying calm? Trauma response. Fair question. We escaped through the fire stairs while heavy footsteps thundered upward behind us. 20 floors. No elevators. No backup. Just rain, adrenaline, and increasingly terrible life choices. Halfway down, Sophia suddenly stopped. What? I whispered. She looked sick. The drive. What drive? The evidence. Please don't say what I think you're about to say. I left it upstairs. I closed my eyes briefly. Of course you did. It was hidden. Sophia, armed criminals are currently invading my building. I know. Another gunshot echoed above us. Closer now. Very close. Then Sophia said something completely insane. We have to go back. I laughed once. Not because it was funny. Because stress does weird things to people. You're serious. If Ethan gets those files, hundreds of victims disappear forever. And just like that, she got me. Because beneath the fear, beneath the panic, Sophia actually cared. That was dangerous. For both of us. 10 minutes later we were sneaking back into my apartment while armed men searched the floor. Terrible plan. Possibly suicidal. Definitely memorable. One guard passed near the hallway. I pulled Sophia against the wall instinctively. Too close. Her heartbeat slammed against my chest. Mine probably wasn't much better. She looked up at me in the darkness. And for one reckless second, everything else disappeared. The gunfire. The danger. The chaos. Just her. Then footsteps returned and reality ruined the moment. We slipped inside the apartment quietly. Sophia rushed toward the bookshelf. You hid it in a bookshelf. It seemed intelligent earlier. She pulled out a small flash drive. Right then the apartment door exploded open. Ethan himself stepped inside holding a gun. Well, that was unfortunate timing. He looked between us slowly. Then laughed softly. You replaced me quickly. Sophia stepped in front of me unexpectedly. You're not taking this. Ethan raised the weapon. I was hoping you'd say that. Then another voice echoed from the hallway. Federal agents. Drop your weapons. Everyone froze. Ethan turned sharply. Too late. FBI agents flooded the apartment from every direction. Turns out Sophia had secretly scheduled the evidence upload hours earlier. Smart woman. Ethan looked at her in disbelief while agents forced him to the ground. You planned this. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. No. Her voice became steady. I survived this. That line broke him. You could see it happen. The control disappeared from his face completely. And for the first time all night, Sophia wasn't afraid anymore. 3 months later, New York still talked about the scandal. Human trafficking, political corruption, billionaire arrests. The story dominated every news channel in America. Meanwhile, Sophia and I sat at a tiny cafe in Brooklyn arguing over pancakes. A much healthier activity. You still owe me a proper first date, she said. I got shot at for you. You were late. Fair point. She smiled into her coffee. God, that smile was dangerous. Then I reached into my pocket. Sophia froze immediately. No way. Yes way. Her eyes widened as I slid from my chair onto one knee right there beside the table. The entire cafe went silent. A waitress actually gasped. "You're insane," Sophia whispered. "Probably." I opened the ring box slowly. But somehow, I smiled at her. "You still showed up again." Tears filled her eyes instantly. People around us started recording with their phones. But Sophia only looked at me. Not scared, not broken, just happy. "Yes," she whispered. Then she laughed through tears. "Yes, you absolute psycho." If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and become part of Whispered Love. Because here, every story has a secret, and every silence hides a feeling. See you in the next story.
Hey there. Subscribe to my channel. And also press this bell icon.